in a geometric sense. It's kind of interesting because the way you get pi out of it is the lengths of the different arcs in each segment. And their lengths give you the digits of pi. And there's a little circle to give you the decimal point. So it's a really interesting example of using geometry as a code for representing digits and numbers.
Many of the most famous crop circles actually derive from fractal patterns, which is a mathematical shape. The Mandelbrot set, the Julia set. To make these, you have to have knowledge of math. Mathematics is, of course, the universal language. Could crop circles, as some believe, be an attempt from an alien civilization to reach out and communicate with us?
There's only one alien code left on our countdown, and we've definitely saved the best for last, because this code is one that we're all carrying with us. So far on our countdown of the top alien codes, we've investigated extraordinary sights and analyzed mysterious symbols. But as far as I'm concerned, the most compelling discovery won't be found in an ancient structure, but in a message hidden inside the human body.
Sils, Portugal, 1984. Farmers digging a well come across a mysterious object 15 feet beneath the earth. A 6-foot-long carved limestone egg. Known as the Algarve, it has been dated to at least 3500 BC, and scientists conclude it could be even older. But what interests ancient astronaut theorists the most is a mysterious pattern etched on its surface.
When we look at the Algarve egg, it had a symbol on it that looked like intertwined serpents. Or they can also be interpreted as DNA strands. And the idea of the double helix wasn't invented or wasn't discovered by us human beings until well into the 20th century.
Is it possible that the design found on the Algarve egg shows the DNA double helix? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that this genetic symbol can be found throughout the ancient world.
The DNA spiral is shown on different antique rocks and steles. Just for example, look at the Sumerian steles. There you see so-called flying geniuses or winged geniuses. Between these winged geniuses is something which archaeology calls the tree of life. But if you look at the tree of life, it's in reality a DNA spiral.
How is it possible that the double helix appears in ancient carvings and artwork when it wasn't discovered by modern scientists until 1953? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest clues have been hidden within our own selves. In 2013, Kazakhstani scientists Vladimir Sherbak and Maxim Maklukov published a shocking proposal that there is an intelligent code that can be found in our own DNA.
They concluded that there was a certain amount of mathematical precision and what's known as a digital checking built into our DNA, like computer codes have. Checking codes to make sure that all the other codes are right.
Ever since the theory of evolution was introduced by Charles Darwin in 1859, scientists have searched for a so-called missing link that connects humans to our hominid ancestors. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest this evolutionary leap was made by extraterrestrial manipulation of our DNA.
We've always suggested that the ultimate proof for the ancient astronaut theory will not happen because we'll discover a buried spaceship somewhere or a ray gun in a tomb, but rather inside of our own DNA.
Believe it or not, I have colleagues of mine looking for secret messages in our DNA. And some of my friends take this to the nth degree and say maybe aliens from outer space have left us a message. Maybe there's a message by an advanced civilization that says, here we are, folks. We created you. And to prove it, we left the code for you in your DNA. Well, we can't rule it out.
The idea that extraterrestrials placed a hidden message in our DNA is not only sensational, but also entirely possible. NASA geologists, perhaps by deciphering these alien codes, we will unlock the truth about our extraterrestrial past. Disasters and devastating events are unavoidable facts of life on planet Earth. But what's interesting to ancient astronaut theorists like me is that every once in a while we find evidence that a catastrophe might be linked to an extraterrestrial presence, like when mysterious flying craft were reported hovering over the site of a recent deadly incident. Number 10 on our countdown of the top 10 alien disasters, the Fukushima nuclear accident. March 11, 2011, Tohoku, Japan. At 2:46 p.m., a massive earthquake shakes the region for nearly 6 minutes. The energy released registers 9.0 on the Richter scale, making it the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan. The violent tremors destroyed buildings, set fires, and killed thousands of people. It also triggers a catastrophic tsunami. In a matter of minutes, 130-foot tall waves slammed into the coast and traveled more than 6 miles inland. But the greatest impact would be to a nearby nuclear power plant.
One wave in particular struck the Fukushima Daiichi power generating plant and overwhelmed the safety systems, which caused the plant to enter a critical phase and release radioactive material into the atmosphere and into the water.
In a matter of hours, rescue teams arrived to prevent the plant's reactors from melting down. As the situation worsens, authorities evacuate the region. The only people who remain are employees who struggle for days to prevent a larger catastrophe from occurring. But according to eyewitnesses on the scene, these workers were not alone.
There were UFO sightings reported in some significant numbers in that area in the weeks and the days leading up to the earthquake and tsunami. And there were a number of UFO sightings reported in the immediate area directly afterward.
At that time, it seemed that there was going to be this huge nuclear disaster that would devastate all of Japan and the Western Hemisphere. Is it possible that extraterrestrials did something to lessen the impacts of this disaster? It would seem that the nuclear meltdown could have been much, much worse.
This suggests the possibility that extraterrestrials were involved in stabilizing that situation. Because had that Fukushima plant melted down, it would have made a large swath of Asia uninhabitable for a very long time. If extraterrestrials really were there at the Fukushima disaster, they must have been there on a rescue mission. They were there to avert a larger catastrophe.
The notion that UFOs had a hand in protecting us from the Fukushima disaster is a truly wild idea. But what makes it even more incredible is the fact that UFOs were also seen during another nuclear meltdown. And this time, they were observed alongside a mysterious winged creature who had glowing red eyes. Number 9 on our countdown, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster.
Pripyat, Ukraine, 1986. This small city is the home of Chernobyl, one of the world's most advanced nuclear power plants. But on April 26th, just after 1 a.m., disaster strikes. During a routine safety test, reactor number 4 suffers a catastrophic meltdown.
Literally tons of radioactive material was released in the atmosphere after a series of thermal explosions and devastating fire. More than 30 people were killed very quickly as a direct result of the disaster. Thousands more have died of blood diabetes, cancers. The absolute catastrophe of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant was the worst nuclear disaster in the history of humanity.
According to official reports, the nuclear meltdown was caused by a combination of human error and mechanical failures. But some former residents of Pripyat believe the disaster had an otherworldly connection.
A number of witnesses reported that there were UFOs hovering around the power station. And that even beings of light were coming down from these UFOs and doing something to the nuclear power plants.
But UFOs were not the only strange phenomenon seen in the area. Residents also reported a large black creature flying near the nuclear reactor. It has become known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl.
Some of the workers at Chernobyl in the days immediately preceding the explosion and following reported seeing this mysterious bat-like winged creature with blazing red eyes. It was regarded as this otherworldly, monstrous being that struck them with terror.
Is it possible that the Blackbird of Chernobyl was an extraterrestrial being? And if so, what was it doing at the site of this disaster? Some suggest that this entity was not attempting to create devastation, but rather to prevent it.
Now, the explosions at Chernobyl, those were thermal explosions. They weren't nuclear explosions. The thermal explosions were devastating. However, had it been a nuclear explosion, what we now look at as former Soviet Union and much of Europe wouldn't be on a map anymore. And some have speculated that the UFOs that we're seeing during the crisis, after the crisis, may have been perhaps protecting us, trying to stave off a horrifying nuclear explosion.
The Blackbird of Chernobyl provides compelling evidence that extraterrestrials may be observing us during devastating events. And an even more extraordinary example occurred on the opposite side of the globe, where witnesses reported the presence of a mysterious flying creature during a disaster in West Virginia. Number 8 on our countdown, the Silver Bridge collapse.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia, December 15, 1967. At 5 p.m., during bumper-to-bumper rush hour traffic, the historic Silver Bridge suddenly collapses into the freezing cold Ohio River.
It's the worst bridge disaster in U.S. history. 46 people died. Everybody here in Point Pleasant knew somebody on the bridge or had a relative, that was on the bridge. And it changed the town of Point Pleasant forever.
Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board concluded that the bridge failed due to a structural flaw that had been present since it was built in 1928. But some witnesses believe there was an otherworldly connection.
There were people that claimed to have seen a large winged creature, 6 to 7 foot tall, gray in color, and 2 large red eyes flying back and forth across the river before the bridge fell.
For residents of Point Pleasant, the description is instantly recognizable. The creature had been terrifying residents for months. It's known as the Mothman.
From late 1966 to December 1967 were what was called the Mothman encounters. And the Mothman was a strange flying humanoid that has these red burning eyes. Some people felt that since the bridge fell right when the Mothman sightings were taking place, that there may have been some kind of connection, a harbinger of doom or whatever. So, what is the connection here between Mothman, UFOs, and the Silver Bridge? The strange thing is that after the collapse, Mothman disappeared. There were no further sightings.
Fortunately for us, the most devastating disasters to hit this planet happened long before the time of humans. For example, every grade school student is taught about the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Number 7 in our countdown of the top 10 alien disasters, the dinosaur extinction. The Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. Here, just off the north coast of this tropical paradise, lies the enormous Chicxulub crater. It is a remnant of a cataclysmic event that forever changed our planet.
The Chicxulub crater is the largest impact crater on Earth. This crater is 180 kilometers in diameter. It's absolutely ginormous. And it represents an event that occurred at the end of the Cretaceous period that took out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. We think that the dinosaurs were wiped out perhaps within a period of 1 year. With all the debris being shot into the space, it blanketed the sunlight. Temperatures plunged as a consequence, therefore vegetation died. With the dying of vegetation, the plant eaters died. And when the plant eaters died, then the meat eaters would also die as a consequence. And so the whole food chain collapsed as a consequence of just 1 year's worth of cataclysmic weather change.
According to mainstream scientists, the meteor impact didn't just draw the age of the dinosaurs to a close, but it marked a new dawn for life on Earth.
The blast that killed the dinosaurs allowed mammals to thrive. If the dinosaurs had been left and remained on this earth, we wouldn't be here now. So our very existence has come about through impact events.
The chance of Earth being hit by an asteroid, like the one that killed the dinosaurs, is extremely remote. And for ancient astronaut theorists, this raises an interesting possibility. Was the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs simply the result of chance? An intergalactic accident? Or might it have been a planned event?
In September 2022, we shot up a probe towards an asteroid, crashed into it in order to move the trajectory of the asteroid. If we can now direct possible that highly advanced extraterrestrials could have had the technology to direct an asteroid towards Earth.
Were the dinosaurs killed off by a cosmic natural event, as mainstream scientists believe? Or might the dinosaurs have been the target of extermination? And if so, for what purpose? Some ancient astronaut theorists believe that extraterrestrials may have wanted to clear a path for the development of humanity.
Maybe it was made on purpose by extraterrestrials, simply because if the dinosaurs would have survived, they would have overtaken the planet Earth. And according to the mythology, which is worldwide, the gods created man according to their image. It was in extraterrestrials' plan to create something like themselves, human-like being. So the dinosaurs were not helpful in this game.
The possibility that aliens sent an asteroid to Earth millions of years ago is truly mind-blowing. But even more incredible is that in Siberia, the locals claim there is otherworldly technology embedded in the Earth, which actually protects us from the kinds of impact events that wiped out the dinosaurs. And they say there is evidence that it destroyed an enormous meteor hurtling towards our planet as recently as the 20th century. Number 6 on our list, the Tunguska explosion.
The Taiga Forest, Siberia, 1908. On June 30th, a fireball was seen streaking across the sky over the Tunguska River. Moments later, there was a massive explosion.
Whatever happened over the Taiga that day, it had the power of the most powerful nuclear bombs. It was one of the greatest disasters of the 20th century. But it was in such a faraway part of the world that nobody really knew what was going on.
Soviet scientists took several years to actually reach the crash site and look for what they thought was a meteor that had come down and exploded in Siberia, but they could not find a crater for this asteroid.
If the devastating Tunguska explosion wasn't created by a meteorite impact, what caused it? Researcher Ivan Makarey has spent decades studying the mythology of the region's native Yakut people. Their legends describe mysterious metallic cauldrons that are hidden in the Taiga Forest.
These pictures illustrate what people claimed the cauldrons had looked like. The first picture shows a cauldron upside down with an open entrance, where even a man on his reindeer can enter it. The second one shows another cauldron with some side supports.
According to Yakut mythology, the mysterious cauldrons were placed in the forest by celestial beings in the distant past. The cauldrons were said to be a type of weapon that would send fireballs into the sky.
The local people there say it is some kind of alien underground installation that becomes active, and comets or meteors that have been entering the Earth's atmosphere, they're being shot down by unknown technology. And in fact, this may have been what caused the Tunguska explosion.
Might the mysterious metallic cauldrons and the legends of the Yakut people explain the explosion over Siberia in 1908? Explorers continue to search the Taiga forest for the so-called cauldrons that the locals claim to have seen with their own eyes. And ancient astronaut theorists suspect their discovery will present undeniable proof of extraterrestrial technology. But they say that an even more powerful technology can be found in the biblical account of Moses and a powerful staff that brought destruction upon ancient Egypt.
Theorists like me, the descriptions sound very much like misunderstood technology. At number 5 on our countdown of the top 10 alien disasters, the 10 plagues of Egypt. Qantir, Egypt. 60 miles northeast of Cairo. Many historians believe that beneath these fields lie the ancient ruins of the lost city of Pi Ramses. In the 13th century BC, this was the capital of Egypt and home to Pharaoh Ramses II. According to some theologians, it was also the location of a miraculous series of events described in the Book of Exodus, known as the 10 Plagues of Egypt.
We have the story of the Exodus, which is the story of the Hebrew people leaving Egypt. And so Moses is going to be the liberator. He's chosen by God, i.e. Yahweh, to go to Pharaoh and say, let my people go.
According to the biblical accounts, the Pharaoh refuses to release the Hebrew slaves. So God instructs Moses to unleash a series of 10 increasingly devastating plagues on the people of Egypt.
In the first plague, Moses touches his staff to the Nile River, and it becomes blood. In the second plague, Moses multiplies frogs. In the third plague, Moses brings about gnats, or some think lice. Livestock were poisoned. There were boils, thunder and hail. There was a darkness across the land. The land was covered with locusts. And of course, the kicker is the death of the firstborn sons of Egypt. So for each of these plagues, they begin to increase in their severity. And finally, Pharaoh needs to concede that, this is the finger of God, and beyond this, we can't challenge him anymore.
According to the biblical account, Moses summoned the plagues by using his